Okay, hi Yash. Welcome to Farside. Thank you.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. It's Friday, just finishing up work and then hanging out this weekend. So
Okay,
yeah.
nice. How long have you been in the city?
I moved in August, so it's still pretty new, but I feel like 8 months in New York is like a long time.
8 months.
Yeah, so I've done a decent amount of stuff, but I still feel like there's like a lot left to do.
Where were you before Texas Shane?
No, so I grew up in Texas, and then after I graduated college, I was on the West Coast for 3 years. So I did like Seattle for a year, I did SF for a year, and then LA for a bit. And then I did like the whole nomad life for another year. And then I got sick and tired of like traveling. So finally decided to move to the East Coast.
Okay.
Move to your class, I guess.
Great one. It's very cool. You started off with like Yash as your username?
Yeah, I just had my name. And then I think somewhere in 2023, like early that year, I just decided to change to YB for fun. I think I was talking to Adrian on Farcaster about something, and she was like, "Oh, like YB something," and it was just like a funny thing. And since then, I stuck to it, and a lot of people just
YB.
like the name better, and I do too now. So
Yeah, it's kind of like add-on, but not.
yeah,
It's nice, and especially with profile picture. Like
exactly.
every time I refer to you as Yash, no one knows who I'm talking about. I'm like, what do you mean? You definitely know him. Like, he does Terminally Onchain. You mean YB?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, right, he goes with that now. Yeah.
I experienced that like at the FCNY meetups and FarCon and stuff. Like I started off saying my name and there was like nothing at all. And they're like, oh, what's your handle like on YB? And they're like, oh, you're like YB with the beautiful guy. And I was like, okay. So then at FarCon, I just basically introduced myself to YB as everyone. And I actually really like it. Like I'm set stick with it now.
Okay, speaking of FarCon, how was that?
It was so much fun.
This is the first time someone post FarCon.
Okay.
So like, tell me all about FarCon.
Yeah, so that was like my first conference since Denver 2023. So I guess a bit more than a year, but I had like lots. It didn't feel like a conference in the sense that I had to like hop to events and like, strategically plan my dinners and all that stuff. Like I genuinely just had a really good time like hanging with all the friends there. I'd say like after 4 years of doing crypto, that was the first conference I felt like I was actually just on a trip more so than a conference, and I had a good time. I think everyone did a really good job of like setting it up, like Dylan, Ted, Graham, all those that then squad. And yeah, I mean, considering last year FarCon 1 in Boston was like 100 people that came out of nowhere, the fact that this was like a huge like conference with 500 plus people was insane.
So I'm such cool.
Yeah, you should have come. I think it was worth it. I literally convinced two friends to book a ticket a week before and they just came.
I'm definitely coming out for the next one. I don't care like where.
Yeah.
I hope it's in New York. We should plan it in New York. That would be fun.
Did you see the Tokyo and the New York and all that discussion? Yeah, people were like, we should have FarCon global. So yeah, folks are like Tokyo. I don't know. I think New York would also be great, but I'm biased, obviously. So
I think India might be planning on FarCon India.
there we go.
Dude, if FarCon India, I would fly out for that.
Yeah, I was talking to Soumya because I was talking about going to be in India in December.
You are?
Yes, yeah, my cousin's getting married, so I was going to go there. Trying to plan something to meet up with a lot of India broadcaster people.
Go on that phone.
I'm going to try. I just don't have any family there, but I'll make a trip out of it or something.
Yeah, I don't either. It's fun. Bangalore, you're going to have vlogs. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But, okay, tell me like your quickest takeaway from FarCon. Like, what did you, first, who was like the coolest person or like most fun person you ended up meeting that you reflected online?
Oh, okay.
I mean,
there were so many people. I actually had interaction with Alok, like a bit on Farcaster.
Yeah.
And then we met, and he was just like a really funny and smart guy. Like I enjoyed listening to a lot of his stories. He's a lot more experienced, in his career and has seen so much. So I think just listening to a lot of the stories he's been through from the past was like super fun to listen to.
Yeah. Alok's the investor.
Yes, I think it's Gender Crypto.
Yeah, he's probably, I don't know if you remember if he's watching this, but I met him the first time in the first Barcaster meetup in LA, me and Ryan. We went out to like hi. He's like, welcome to the first Barcaster meetup. This is on me. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's it. Okay, nice.
He's very nice.
Yeah. Even at the dinner we were at, he's like, okay, all the VCs pull your credit cards out. So yeah, he was just like, it was super chill. I loved it.
Yeah, that's cute. Very cute.
Yeah.
Nice. And like, any like interesting takeaways? Like, how do you feel about FarCaster now as an ecosystem post FarCon?
I didn't like come out of forecaster with like a thesis on the future of consumer crypto or anything. I would say I noticed like in conversation with people, like there's definitely so much like product building and activity happening now that naturally like not everyone has the attention span to use all the products and be, rooting for everything now. So not to say that it's like I made a cast about this, and I don't think I was completely accurate in my cast. I just sort of did it for fun. But I was like, oh, there's for sure competition within the Farcaster ecosystem now, and it's like, you're stupid if you don't think so. And I didn't mean that in the sense that like, oh, this is negative and people are like coming at each other, but more so like the truth is like there are so many clans being built. There's these different wives that are sort of poking at similar problems from a different angle. So like at the end of the day, there's only so much attention that people have and bandwidth to use products. So it's like you do see in just the last year from FarCon 1 to FarCon 2, like things are definitely different now, and there's more like cohorts of people within the ecosystem. Yeah. It's not like, like you were on FarCast a year ago, right? Like it was like you wouldn't probably miss a cast from most people. Like it was very group chat and friendly. Now it's like there's a good chance you will miss a cast from even your friends, and like so it's just different in a good way, not like it doesn't mean like it's bad.
It's bittersweet.
It is different for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I told you like I'm missing like the speed I used to have a year ago, where it was such like compact interactions.
Yeah.
It felt fun to be on like people. Like people are waiting for you on there. If that makes sense.
Right.
But now it's like I haven't been casting as much because the same interaction I was getting a year ago, I'm not getting as much now as I want from my cats. Like people can just fine.
Yeah.
But I miss the
vibes.
As something expands, this is bound to happen.
Yeah.
You just have to get like used to it. But okay.
I will say though on that point, like even though the cast experience is different now, I still am having fun with it in a different way. Like it just people that you wouldn't expect to reply, which makes it also interesting in some way. So
when you went to FarCon, like what were people's like sentiment around like Terminally Onchain and your writing and like your newsletter?
It seemed positive for the most part. I think I had a lot of people say like, oh, Terminally Onchain is one of the few newsletters I read like every week, and that's always nice to hear because when I send that out, it feels like it's just going into a black hole. Like, yeah, I was like, there's no way anyone's reading this. And even though I do it like week after week, but it was like it just definitely it's like positive affirmation. It's like when someone says like, oh yeah, like I remember that piece and like that was an interesting point. So it was good to hear that. And then I also hosted an event on Friday for like the Terminally Onchain group. Yeah. And that was super fun. Like I just got pizza. We all went to the beach on Friday evening, like near the main summit venue. And yeah, just hung out there for a couple of hours, met a lot of new people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so I remember when you first started your newsletter, like you were just so consistent about it. But it's good, I think, like you're kind of posting to a black hole, so you're not so obsessed with like what are people saying, what are people like.
Yeah.
I think that's a good mindset. But why did you start like this newsletter in the first place? Like that switch should happen from chapter 1 to like going full time into content. I think.
Yeah.
What made you do that?
So I guess maybe going back to before chapter 1, like my background has nothing to do with writing. I literally did electrical engineering in school and math. So if you told me like in senior year of college that I would be writing, I would like laugh at you. But like my first job out of college was at Salesforce, and I was an engineer there. And I think I had a realization that like I wasn't a 10x engineer. I was like, like an average engineer at big tech. But what I really found interesting was that my mentor at Salesforce was the software architect on like the general team. And I like loved talking to him. Like I loved the way he like just like thought through things. It was a very logical. And I also ended up, just because like I hated the documentation on our team, I would take responsibility to like clean up the docs and do all the technical writing. And it seemed like people on my team were really liking like the way I was approaching that. And yeah, so I just kept on doing more of the writing stuff in parallel with like my normal coding work at Salesforce. And also early 2020, I think late 2019 is when I started like in a non-account on Twitter, like crypto Twitter. And that's when COVID also hit around that time, and I spent so much more time being at home. So on one monitor I was doing Salesforce work, and then the other monitor I would go and like write simple threads about like what I was writing or what I was using and all of that stuff. And then around 2021, I was like, okay, I can just quit Salesforce now, and I'm going to try to go all in on the writing stuff because my volume was picking up a bit. So I went off on the threads, like pure thread boy, crypto vibes, 2021, and then ended up doing chapter 1 for that year. And I love my time there, but at the end of it, I was like, I'm early into my career. Like, if I gave myself a year and a half or 2 years to just hack on ideas, write, do whatever I can, and figure something out, I think it would be really fun. And if not, I'll go get another job or something.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so that's why I ended up quitting, and then I went into the writing because when I quit, that was like the first thing that just came to my mind because I'd been doing it for 3 years already. But it was weird. Like all of 2023, like nothing hit. It was just like nonstop. Like I tried podcasts, I tried consulting work, I tried like 3 different newsletters. So I was all over the place last year, basically. But I think each idea helped me sort of get to the Terminally Onchain brand I have right now, and even that's still changing. So.
Nice. So you started as like, it was like dear like letter.
Yeah, it was called On-Chain Letters. This one, yeah. The idea there was I was back home in Christmas, and I was like, well, like shoot, like I had like 6 months before I had to go recruit, right? So I was like, I just need to like stick to something now. And I was reading the story about Brandon Stanton, I think it's the Humans of New York guy, and how he got started. And he was like, yeah, I just like wanted to talk to people in New York. They seemed like really cool. So I was like, oh, okay, what if I just like sort of did a similar version where it's like I write a letter to someone who I think is doing cool things, and the first couple were to like Linda to Six, friends that I already knew, and people started enjoying those. So then I kept up the consistency, and then they got like more. They had more depth. I went, got more technical and all of that. And I kept it to be on-chain letters until like a month ago, where I just had too many different brands going on and I consolidated everything.
Nice.
But yeah.
Where is that letter?
Coming soon. I'll feature this podcast and then I can write that one.
Thank you. I'm looking forward. This is his testament. So if you don't post
it, find out in the next.
I'm gonna do accountable.
Okay, 100%, yeah.
I'm joking, but okay. So tell me, like, what is your thought process around like Terminally Onchain? Like, you kind of classify it as like ClassPass.
Yes.
Which is really cool. I love that analogy. I love ClassPass personally.
Okay, I actually agree.
Wait, it's so fun because you get like the best of like all worlds.
Yes.
You're gonna pick and choose. You have like a subscription base. That's why I'm curious. Like, why, based on the subscription model, you start hypersubs? Like, do you have like a specific plan you had with it, or can you just went with the flow?
So it was like the first week of March, and I needed to write a post about a product because it was like I just had like my deadline, and I was like, oh, I'll write about hypersub. Johnny's a friend as well.
Okay.
And while I was writing the post, I was like, I don't know this enough, so let me just use the product and give it a shot. So then I was like at a coffee shop just brainstorming ideas. And then after a couple of iterations, I was like, oh, like this ClassPass for OP stack sounds cool. And the idea was just that like, because I've written about so many creators and founders, and then I also share like a weekly what I minted series, like I feel like it would be fun if I could figure out different discounts or like do like a Groupon model or a ClassPass model where anyone who subscribes just gets access to these deals, right? Like leaning into the hey, like buy one get one free, or like if you like lock this first 50 people get 10% off this next mint, or it'll be like gasless. And I think other people resonated with that. It's just like imagine like my Zora page being like if instead of like artwork, it's just a bunch of like deals. Like it looks like a Groupon booklet or like a ClassPass like page that you just can pick from. And yeah, I just went for that. And then when I posted it, I wasn't like expecting this to be something. It was again just for my newsletter post. But then that took off so much. Like that first day, the first 2 days, like there was like 100 people who subscribed to that, and like it was like generating revenue. And I was like, oh, like this is something. And it was crazy because I was going on a family trip to Europe, so I was literally on the flight just like watching this like happen and stuff.
You texted me.
Yeah. And it was like a crazy time, but I think pretty cool. And then I came back from the trip and I was like, okay, like how can I actually like lean into this? It seems like there's like some sort of momentum, and I just kept on going with like, okay, like let's go ahead and make a private group chat with subscribers and then make that active. I like made a token-gated onboarding doc using my newsletter. So just trying to figure that flow out, and then over time, between March and April and May, I just like kept on doing the collabs and like.
Oh, like community collabs.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, I think the one that people liked the most were swatches was the NFT project. Yeah. And JB and I reached out and was like, hey, look, I want to give 50 free mini passes to the Terminally Onchain subscribers. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So a lot of people got that and they were excited. So the model I'm going for is the subscription pays for itself, because like maybe in every like 10 collabs, like 1 or 2 will literally appreciate value.
Right.
Or someone won't even ask me and they'll just use my subscriber list that's on the hypersub page and go airdrop it to them, right? So
Nice.
it's like, can I be in this hypersub to get access to stuff?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you thought about like scaling and like how do you scale hypersub to, I guess, like run on its own in a way, if that makes sense? Have you thought about that, like scaling hypersub, or in general, how do you scale hypersub?
That's a good question. And something I've been thinking about like since I launched. Literally, I was like, I want to think of this hypersub not as a community, like of course it is, but more so as a product. And I didn't worry about it too much. Like the first 2-3 months, I was just sort of testing it out, doing different collabs. But now, actually, like literally as of last week, I decided I want to build a product for like an app for Terminally Onchain. So I'm actually working on that like right now, trying to get that launched soon.
Nice.
But yeah, just thinking about like, okay, not necessarily a client by any means, but like what would be a useful, like simple mobile app for Terminally Onchain. Maybe some parts of it are gated to just the members. Some parts of the app is like totally open. So still figuring that out, but I think maybe that's a way to scale. We'll see. I don't know. I think scaling is just gonna have to come from trying different things, and eventually one will hit, and hopefully get that growth going.
Yeah. I've been I like the concept of hypersub, like the subscription base. I was trying to see like what could Fireside do. But I always had this notion that in order to like launch a subscription based product or like anything, you need to have like a already built an audience that taps into it. For now, just because when starting out, like what else can you offer? If you don't have a community, what else can you offer to the public where they would pay subscription for?
Okay, like I totally agree that having an audience helps, and sure you might get like 10x more initial subscribers, but at the same time it's like even if you have 5, I would say like use it as a means to figure out who your power fans are, your super fans are, right? And then work with them to reach out and be like, okay, how can we make this better? So like the group chat doesn't have to be 100 people on day 1, it can just be 5 people. And that's fine. And then grow the hypersub with your distribution, right? Like both over time. So
how easy was it setting it up?
Like 30 minutes. So yeah, it's the UI is very simple. It's actually just more so the marketing that you have to think of, not the mechanics of it. Like hypersub is a pretty good product in that sense. It's really simple, right? You're just like, here's my pitch, and contract gets deployed, and that's it. You set your price.
Interesting. Okay, so not everyone can like create a hypersub. You can have to go through a certain.
No, anyone can. Yeah, you can set it up right now if you wanted to.
Oh, okay, yeah. Interesting. I'm just like thinking as we speak, like, could hypersubs be like another kind of mechanism for Web 2 folks to like get into the Web 3 space? So like for example, maybe education, think of it as an education platform. Like I can create an education platform, gate it with a hypersub.
Yeah.
So like any Web 2 person that's always like, I wanted to get into the Web 3 space, I can have them like pay a subscription fee to my education content through hypersub.
Yeah.
And like they get access to all this content, or like build space, for example. Like you can do a replicated build space model. You can put like $10 a month, put it towards like your growing learning, and then somehow get rewarded back in a way. But like, would they have to pay? Is hypersub only like crypto payments or like?
In V1 right now, like V2, I think they're planning to add USDC payments and even credit card payments and all that. So that would
If
be
credit card payments, I think that would be very cool.
Yeah.
Start getting more Web2 folks on Liberty.
Yeah, I think like the question comes to it's like, okay, subscription models have already existed for like decades now in Web2. So it's not the subscription itself that I think is different. Like how can using hypersub like give you more opportunities with your subscription model, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, exactly.
Community is the biggest one, right? Any Web2 subscription base, there's no community mechanism.
Or I would say it's a lot more difficult to set up a community. And I think that's what's happening right now. Like a lot of the early hypersub creators, no one actually knows how to form a community. Like there's so many different versions. Club Ted has, she does a fantastic job of creating like a small group of people who are super active. Proxy has an amazing hypersub where it's like focused on like building, mercenary trading, and all of that kind of stuff. So the point is that I think this first year of hypersub, everyone is sort of figuring out the playbooks like in real time of like, okay, what is a good way to form this community? Even right now, right? Like I have so many pain points of like, how do I alert people about this drop, or how do I get everyone to come to this group chat and stuff? So I think over time, those like products will stitch together, or there will be some better solution for sure.
Yeah, you brought up Proxy. Proxy has like a very he doesn't. I don't think he's like looking for scale. It's like kind of keep a very niche community of like builders. That's like it's like solid in the sense that it's not like he's looking to expand, but keep it at like that same kind of size. So I don't know. He's going for that versus like you're going for like scalability.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also like very interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's like more.
And it's like you can also just change as well, right? Like at any time, if you feel like, okay, this community is getting too big, I'm just gonna cap it. I think that might be. I don't know if that's possible in V1, but yeah, like, I'm sure they'll add that in later. And if you feel like, okay, this is a good time where I can have tiered pricing now, right? And then change up like the way you designate the perks and what's like involved, then that works as well. Yeah.
Do you feel like pressurized, like to deliver for the community? Like, do you ever feel like, oh, I'm not delivering the community?
For sure. Yeah. Like, if there's like a week I go into a perk, I'm like people are gonna flame me, like they're gonna call me a grifter or whatever. And then even with my newsletter, like, last week I was like miserable. I was like sick and tired. So I just didn't want to do my post, and I felt so guilty all of last week. I was like, try putting words down on paper, but I think it was just some things like don't spam people's inboxes if it wasn't like good quality work. So yeah,
Good quality work, yeah.
for sure, I think I do feel that pressure, but not in the sense that like, oh, like my life depends on this or anything. Like I feel it more so just like I made a public commitment and I want to stick to it just because it like feels good, and that's about it really.
Very cool. And are you doing the same on Twitter? Like,
No, I stopped posting on Twitter.
Oh.
It just got, I really tried at the beginning. It just got too tiring, and like, if you just look at the quality of engagement and the amount of engagement, it just was like a better bet for me to continue like making 3 casts on Forecaster versus doing like 1 each on Twitter and Forecaster. So I just eventually rotated out. And it sucks because I had a decent like micro Twitter following, and now it's just sitting there, I guess. So
yeah. Well, what's next for you? Like, what are you looking forward to?
I really do want to build some sort of product. I think I just feel like that would be a fun iteration, and like that doesn't mean like I'll stop writing. Like if it just means that instead of my weekly post being writing about like another product, I'm just gonna write about what I'm building, like the thought process that went into it, share the wireframes, what my stack looks like, all of that. And I think it would be super fun to just build a product with this community.
Oh, with the community, that's
Like I'm actively asking like questions within our group chat, and like I'll probably reach out to a couple of them for like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, can you give me feedback on it? And then
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, so that very cool. I'm looking forward to that. I have to I've been seeing. I'll get all the notifications.
Oh yeah. Okay. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot recently, so that's kind of annoying.
No, I'm gonna look into that as well. Like that's very cool. I'm gonna start seeing what ideas I want to have.
Yeah.
Well, you watch Copper with Corona, so you know rapid fire rounds, right?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I've seen one of those, so yeah.
I stole that concept, but I have 4 fun rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
To answer
Sure, I'll do my best.
Okay, so first one, would you rather have 50,000 regen or the OG NFT?
The OG NFT.
Why?
I mean, if you bet that like Farcaster is going to beat the social protocol, like that provenance, trumps pretty much any token in my opinion for the most part. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Also, I could buy 50,000 Degen, I think, right now for a cheaper price than the OG NFT.
That is very true, actually. Okay. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you want to go?
Singapore would be
Singapore?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No, but I just see random like cool videos of them doing really cool stuff, and one of my friends used to live there, and I don't know, it just seems like an awesome place.
I've never been there. Singapore. Okay, very cool. If you weren't like doing crypto or like what you're doing right now, what would you be doing instead? Profession-wise, or just
Probably some product manager role at a startup.
No.
Like I don't know.
Okay.
To be honest, that's the best answer I have.
Yeah, that's startup. Okay.
Like maybe just big tech as well, or yeah.
Like
I'm always a fan of fintech. I tried doing that, like maybe some prediction market company. Like I tried doing that before crypto as well. So along the lines of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have like what are your hobbies outside of work and stuff?
That's a good question. I mean, recently it's felt like my hobby and my work are the same thing, just because
that's the use. That's
yes.
like the most, I think, optimal thing you can have.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the improv class?
No, I need to sign up. But I told you about it. I want to sign up for an improv class. I've always been a fan of like public speaking. I think it's just really cool. And I didn't want to do like the formal Toastmasters, so I'm trying to sign up for an improv class. But I'm gonna do it for sure. Yes.
Very cool. Okay, ready? Last question. Which chain are you most optimistic about? You have base, OP, FarCaster, or the clone.
Oh, chain or protocol?
Either.
I mean, I think FarCaster protocol is probably a good bet, but then in terms of chain, I would say base because of Coinbase's support, and obviously the team itself is really good as well. They just have an insane treasury to push, marketing spend behind it as well and all that.
Okay, makes sense. But okay, I have one last question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite coffee shop in New York? It's not Starbucks.
No, that's right. There's a coffee shop called Sammy L Coffee on 13th Street and 3rd Ave, and that's basically become my go-to now. I go there at least 3 times a week, and I just like it because there's incredible lighting and just it's a window. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink black coffee, so it's not for coffee. But nice music, it's chill. Sometimes it's hard to find a seat, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Very nice.
Yeah.
Good job, oh, I called you Jay for some reason. Okay.
Who is Jay?
I always do this. Dude, there's a guy in FBI, his name is Karan. I always call him Kunal. No, his name is Kunal, I always call him Karan. It's so bad. I'm so sorry, I feel so bad. But thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is fun.
Yeah.
I hope you guys.
Yeah, you were the OG podcaster. I remember more than a year ago now.
I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Matthew and Clem. Both those.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah. But I was trying to keep the tradition going. So.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad. I'm looking forward to this. I really hope this came up. Guys, this is our first IRL episode.
Yeah, the setup is super ratchet, but
it's so ratchet. If I show you, let me actually record it and show people how we recorded this. Oh my god, I literally had a heart attack. I thought I wasn't recording.
Yeah.
I would have killed myself. Okay, wait. Look at this. This is the setup. I had the camera sitting right here, and sitting. Yeah. Say bye, Yash.
Bye. Hope you enjoyed.
Cute.